Have you noticed your everyday expenses rising, even though news reports claim inflation is slowing down? You're not imagining it. Many people still feel the financial pinch. In this video, we break down the concept of inflation in simple, relatable terms. We'll explore how inflation works, what causes it, and why your money doesn't go as far as it used to. From supply chain problems to human psychology, we'll connect the dots between economic data and the everyday reality of high prices. If you've ever wondered why your grocery bill or rent keeps climbing, you'll want to stick around. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more helpful insights. What is inflation? Inflation is the gradual rise in prices across the board, making goods and services more expensive over time. Simply put, it's when your money loses buying power. You can't get as much with the same amount as you did before. For example, if inflation is 4%, something that cost $100 last year would now cost $104. This increase may seem small, but over time it adds up significantly. Inflation is usually measured by tools like the Consumer Price Index, which tracks how prices change for a basket of everyday goods like groceries, gas, and rent. It can be caused by higher production costs, stronger consumer demand, or even decisions made by central banks, like printing more money or adjusting interest rates. Some inflation is normal in a healthy economy, but when it rises too quickly, it can make saving and planning for the future very difficult. That's why governments and economists monitor it so closely. Inflation doesn't just affect big economies, it hits your wallet too, especially if your income doesn't rise at the same pace. Knowing how inflation works is the first step to making better choices with your finances. Why does everything feel more expensive now? Even when inflation reports show improvement, many people still feel financially strained. That's because the numbers don't always reflect personal experiences. Core goods like food, gas, rent, and healthcare, essentials we rely on, have increased dramatically and stayed high. When your salary doesn't grow at the same pace, it feels like your paycheck doesn't stretch as far. Psychological factors also play a role. People tend to notice price hikes more than price drops. For instance, if milk went up by 50 cents and later dropped by 20 cents, the higher price sticks in your mind. This is called the focusing effect. Plus, some businesses keep prices high even after their own costs go down, especially if customers have accepted those increases. It's also worth noting that while overall inflation may drop, some categories like housing and groceries stay elevated. This selective inflation keeps that everything feels expensive feeling alive. Essentially, just because the economy is technically recovering doesn't mean your wallet is. The mismatch between the official data and what people actually experience makes it harder to feel relief. So even when inflation cools off on paper, the heat still lingers in your everyday budget. What causes inflation? Inflation can stem from different causes, often tied to shifts in supply and demand. One common type is called demand pull inflation. This happens when more people want to buy goods and services than companies can provide. As demand rises and supply stays the same, prices naturally go up. Then there's cost push inflation, where the costs of production, like raw materials, labor, or shipping, go up, forcing companies to raise prices just to stay afloat. Other triggers include monetary policy choices. If a central bank prints more money or keeps interest rates low, it can inject too much money into the economy. This surplus cash means more spending, but without enough goods to buy, prices rise. External events also fuel inflation. For example, the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted supply chains globally, leading to product shortages and price hikes. Wars, trade restrictions, and oil price spikes can do the same. Labor shortages also play a role. When companies can't hire enough workers, they often increase wages, and those costs get passed down to the consumer. So inflation isn't caused by just one thing. It's a mix of global and local forces pushing prices higher from both the production and consumption sides. How is inflation measured? Economists measure inflation using tools that track how prices change over time. The most widely known is the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. This index monitors the average cost of a basket of everyday goods and services, things like food, rent, transportation, medical care, and more. By comparing current prices to those from a year ago, the CPI gives us a clear picture of how much the cost of living has changed. There's also the Producer Price Index, PPI, which tracks price changes from the perspective of sellers and manufacturers rather than consumers. If the PPI goes up, it can be a sign that consumer prices may rise soon too. These numbers are usually published monthly by government agencies like the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. They're crucial for setting policies on interest rates, wages, and social benefits like pensions or unemployment assistance. Businesses use them to decide how much to raise prices or wages, while investors study them to plan where to put their money. In short, inflation data isn't just a news headline. It's a vital snapshot of how the economy is moving and how your money is being affected over time. How inflation affects your life. Inflation touches almost every part of your daily life, often in ways you may not even notice at first. When prices rise, your paycheck loses value. You can't buy as much with the same amount of money. This affects your grocery bill, gas expenses, utility costs, rent, and even entertainment. If you're on a fixed income, like a pension or government benefits, inflation can hit even harder since your earnings don't adjust as quickly. Savings can also take a hit. If inflation is higher than the interest you're earning on your savings account, you're effectively losing money over time. Loans and mortgages may become more expensive if interest rates go up in response to inflation. It can also change how people spend and save. You might start cutting back on non-essentials or postponing big purchases. On the flip side, some investments, like real estate or stocks, may perform better during inflationary times. Understanding how inflation works allows you to adjust your financial strategy by budgeting smarter, investing wisely, and planning ahead. In essence, inflation isn't just about rising prices. It's about adapting your lifestyle and financial choices to protect your long-term stability. Can inflation ever be a good thing? While inflation is often viewed negatively, a moderate level can actually signal a healthy, growing economy. When inflation is steady and predictable, it encourages people to spend and invest rather than hoard cash that might lose value over time. This stimulates business activity, supports job creation, and can drive innovation. Additionally, inflation can reduce the real value of debt, making it easier for borrowers to repay loans. Central banks often aim for a small inflation target, around 2%, to maintain this balance. Problems only arise when inflation becomes too high or too low, disrupting economic stability. So while rising prices can be frustrating, a little inflation might be exactly what keeps the economic engine running smoothly. So while inflation might seem like just another economic term, it has a real impact on your everyday life, from what you pay at the store to how far your paycheck goes. Understanding what causes inflation, how it's measured, and how it affects you is the key to making smarter financial decisions. Now that you know why everything still feels expensive, even when headlines say inflation is slowing, you're better equipped to navigate the economic challenges ahead. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and take care of your wallet.